Hi everyone, welcome back to the best recapped movie. In the beginning, Brian Miles, a former CIA officer, dreams of his daughter's 5th birthday, wakes up in distress and looks at his daughter Kim's picture frame. The next morning, he goes to the store to buy a tape recorder, and when he returns home, he wraps it as a gift. Then, he goes to his daughter's 17th birthday party. After entering, he meets his ex-wife Lenore and says he must give Kim the gift himself. Kim comes and hugs her father, and despite her mother's wishes, Brian insists that Kim open the box right now. She happily thanks his father and sneakily tells him he is still interested in music, and Brian takes a souvenir photo of her. A little later, her rich stepfather, Stuart, arrives with a horse to surprise Kim, and Kim is excited to see the horse and hugs him. Brian is disappointed by this, and after saying hello to Stuart, he asks him to stay for lunch. Brian refuses and says that he only came to congratulate her. At night, he develops the photo. He returns home to paste the photo of Kim's birthday this year in her birthday diary, then laughs and reminisces with her. After that, Sam, Casey and Bernie, 3 of his friends, visit Brian as usual on May 3rd to hang out and have something to eat and drink. They talk a little about Brian and his daughter's life, and Sam suggests they have an opening for him on their security team. When leaving, he emphasizes again and says he just protect a singer and salary is about $2,500 for 4 hours. Finally, he agrees to be with them in this work. The next night, the famous singer Shira gets out of her car, and while practicing singing, Brian is surprised and admires her, and they get to know each other. He tells her that his daughter wants to be a singer and if she has any advice, while Shira replies that she should look for another career. Kim calls him, and Brian informs her that he is currently at Shira's concert as her personal bodyguard, which makes her happy. She says she is proud of him, and she will make a date with him for lunch tomorrow. After the end of the concert, some of the audience go towards Shira, and Brian takes her away. Suddenly, an attacker wants to hurt her with a knife, but he stops him, and he saves her. Shira cries in the car, and Brian sympathizes with her. At the night's end, Sam divides the wages between the group, and Brian is informed that Shira wants to see him. She thanks him and gives him her card to take his daughter, who is interested in music, to her for evaluation whenever he wants. Tomorrow, Brian meets Kim in the restaurant with Shira's business card in his hands. After seeing Lenore, he tells her that he only expected this meeting to be between him and Kim. Kim immediately explains that her friend Amanda is going on a fun trip to Paris with her cousins, and they ask her to go with them. Brian guesses that she needs his written permission, and Lenore puts a letter on the table and asks him to sign it. He disagrees and says that a 17-year-old girl should not travel alone and that he should think about it. Brian wants to tell her about Shira, but Kim leaves the restaurant upset. Lenore angrily talks about how he sacrificed his married life to serve his country, and is still not ready to make such a sacrifice for his daughter. Brian explains that he cannot be indifferent to risking Kim. Lenore also leaves, and after some time, he goes to his daughter and says that he signed the letter, but there are some conditions that she has to accept. He should know the address and phone number of the place they want to go, and wherever she is going, she has to call him every night before bed, and then give her an international number. Kim accepts all the conditions, is happy that his father allowed him, and hugs him. On the way to the airport, Kim asks her father about his old job and if he misses it now, but Brian says he misses her more. Kim kisses him, and when they get to the airport, Brian sees a map in the trunk of his daughter's belongings and realizes that Paris is not her only destination. Lenore exits her car, and Brian realizes he was tricked because his daughter is going on a European tour. Lenore explains that Kim lied because she couldn't be honest with you. She insists that he might lose her by limiting her, so Brian pretends he doesn't know anything and sees Kim off at the airport after taking a souvenir photo of her and saying goodbye. Kim arrives in Paris with her 19-year-old friend Amanda, where they meet a young and attractive boy named Peter. After taking a picture of them, Peter says that because the taxi here is a bit expensive, it is better to share the cost, and Amanda agrees. Amanda says they are staying at her cousin's house, who has gone to Madrid now, and after a little talk, Peter invites them to a party at school before leaving. Unlike Kim, who says they don't know him, Amanda easily accepts and even gives him the house address on the 5th floor. Brian calls Kim, but she doesn't answer, which worries him. On the other hand, Peter calls his boss, reports their whereabouts, and leaves. When they go home, Amanda says she wants to sleep with Peter tonight. Since Kim is a virgin, she tries to convince her to sleep with Peter's possible friend because she thinks this romantic city is the best place to start her adventure. Amanda plays some rock music so loud that, once again, Kim doesn't hear her phone ringing as her father calls her. Brian calls Lenore and informs her about this, but she believes he should not be too hard on her and should give her space. After finishing this conversation, he tries to call his daughter again. Still, this time, Kim answers, and because of the loud music, she is forced to go to the bathroom, where she can see Amanda dancing. Brian is talking to his daughter about the conditions when suddenly Kim sees some people enter the house and force and beat Amanda. Kim cries and informs her father about her situation. Brian is shocked at first but immediately begins recording the conversation and tries to find out the situation by asking questions. Kim says they met Peter at the airport, but she can't explain more, so Brian tries to guide his daughter and asks her to go to the next room and hide under the bed. He informs Kim that they will find her soon, so he asks her to focus, put her phone on the floor, and immediately shout out any physical features she sees of the kidnappers. The kidnappers soon enter the room, and Brian realizes they're speaking in Albanian. It doesn't take long before they pull Kim out from under the bed as Kim screams, 6-foot beard, moon and stars tattoo. Brian continues to listen until he notices one of them pick up the phone, so he warns him to leave his daughter, or he will find them wherever they are and kill them with the skills he has already learned. In response, he says good luck and hangs up. He quickly goes to Stuart's and his ex-wife's house, and on the way, he asks his friend Sam to download and analyze the file he sent him. As soon as he arrives, he informs them that Kim has been kidnapped and searches Kim's room to find a clue about his daughter's kidnapping. At this moment, Sam calls and informs that it is clear from their accent and dialect that they are from Torpuja, the center of illegal activities, and the person Brian talked to is a person named Marco, who has a tattoo on his hand that belongs to their group. Sam explains that the specialty of this group is trafficking and selling women, who recently decided to kidnap young girls because this business is more economical. While Lenore was crying and worried about her daughter, Sam says that according to experts, they only have 96 hours to save their daughter. Otherwise, they will lose her. Lenore tearfully begs Brian to return their daughter. After that, Brian takes the first flight to Paris and enters Amanda's cousin's house without anyone knowing. He reviews all the scenes where Amanda and her daughter were kidnapped. After recreating the events, the broken mirror draws his attention and picks up the hair and the broken pieces. He finds his daughter's phone broken on the floor but realizes that the phone's RAM is intact, so he decides to check the contents of the RAM. Brian finds Peter's photo of them at the airport, and by increasing the resolution, he identifies Peter. As usual, Peter and his colleague are trying to lure young girls at the airport when suddenly Brian throws him into the car, punches him hard in the ribs, and asks him about the 2 American girls he saw yesterday, but Peter dodges. His friend comes to help and pulls Brian out of the car, but he can't stand up to his fighting skills. Brian sees Peter running away. On the other hand, the police are approaching him. He decides to run away with a car. After encountering a traffic jam, he is forced to get out of the car, and to escape from him, Peter jumps onto a truck and is suddenly killed by a car accident. After this incident, now that Brian has lost his only clue, he goes to one of his colleagues, Jean-Claude, who was a former DGSE agent and became a national police officer. He tells him the whole story, and after hearing that the only clue was killed, Jean-Claude warns him not to cause chaos. However, Brian angrily says that if he has to, he will destroy the Eiffel Tower. He gives Brian his business card and informs him that he can start his search from the port of Clichy. He leaves immediately, ignoring his advice, while his friend hires an agent to look after him. On the other hand, Brian hires an Albanian English translator, and after talking a little, he asks him to wait in the car. He goes to one of the prostitutes and disturbs her, so she loses a lot of her customers. As a result, one of the Albanian contacts appears. He starts arguing with Brian and asks him to compensate him for his lost customers. Brian takes advantage of this situation and attaches a microphone to him. Of course, he has to pay him 50 euros, then he returns to his car and asks the translator to translate his conversation with his bosses. The translator translates their words until they talk about a building and the problem of fresh goods, after which Brian asks him to go out with a goodbye. Following him, Brian reaches one of the places where Albanians sell girls as prostitutes next to a building under construction as a business. He manages to enter the place as a customer, where he sees rooms separated by cloth, so he starts looking for his daughter until he finds Kim's jacket in one of them. However, when he sees the girl's face, he realizes she is not his daughter. At the same time, the Albanians arrive, and Brian gets into a fight with them, and the shooting starts. Since this girl may have news about Kim, Brian immediately puts her in the car and escapes, but some cars follow him to stop him. Fortunately, Brian manages to save himself by leaving behind the attackers. However, a little later, he finds out that he is still wanted by one of Jean-Claude's men in the street. He goes so fast that he also loses him. Brian takes the girl to the hotel and takes care of her by injecting medicine so that when she wakes up, he might be able to hear about his daughter. The next morning, Jean-Claude calls him and explains that his boss has ordered his arrest because of the recent chaos. However, he has prepared a ticket and asks him to leave Paris. While looking at him from a height, Brian ignores him and says he will continue to find his daughter. Jean-Claude sends his men after tracking him down, but soon, it becomes clear that their efforts to find him are futile, and Brian tricked them. At the hotel, the girl finally wakes up and Brian says that he doesn't intend to hurt her and that he wants to find his daughter. When he shows her the photo and Kim's jacket, the girl says Kim gave it to her when she was freezing in the house with the red door on Paradise Street. After receiving the address, Brian goes to that house and since he guesses that maybe the corrupt police are collaborating with the kidnappers, he shows Jean-Claude's card after entering. He introduces himself as a policeman and says he must see their boss. After meeting with them, he realizes that they all have moon and star tattoos on their hands. To divert them, he starts to negotiate that the police's share should be increased to ignore their crimes. They accept and give him some money. Then Brian asks which of them is named Marco, and one answers that they are all Marco. He gives a paper written in Albanian to one of them and asks him to translate it into English and make sure that that person was the one who kidnapped Kim.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
He immediately engages with him, knocks him out, and kills all the people in that room one by one. Hearing the sound of shooting, the others also come. But Brian's abilities are so high that he can easily kill them all. Then he goes upstairs to find his daughter, but after searching the rooms, he only finds Amanda, who was killed by an overdose of drugs. He tries to find a trace of his daughter by torturing one of the Marcos using an electric current, but he ignores him and spits in Brian's face. Brian raises the pain of torture so much that he finally talks to him and says that they sell virgin girls because they are of high value, and he can find her through a person named Patrice St. Clair. After that, Brian leaves him to die by continuing to torture him and goes out. Jean-Claude comes home, and his wife informs him that Brian is here. After a casual conversation, Jean-Claude takes the kids to the room and then goes to the bathroom to get his gun. When he joins his wife and Brian at the dinner table, Brian explains that he knows everything and hopes he don't be involved. In this case, when Brian asks him who Patrice St. Clair is, Jean-Claude angrily points his gun at him and says he doesn't know, unaware that Brian has already emptied the gun. For Jean-Claude to give him a clue about St. Clair, he is forced to shoot a superficial wound on his wife's hands, and Jean-Claude is inevitably forced to provide him with information and photos about Patrice St. Clair. A little later, Brian recognizes Patrice at a party, enters the event with Jean-Claude's fake police card, and looks for Patrice to find him. He sees him entering the elevator, then he knocks out the security guard in the elevator with heavy blows and causes him to collapse. He sees a person in charge of drinks, so he disguises himself as a bartender to enter one of the rooms by eliminating him. The place where the girls are auctioned among the rich, and after some time, Brian sees that the last girl to be auctioned is his daughter Kim. With a gun, Brian forces Ali, one of the bidders, to buy his daughter at the highest price so that he can get Kim. But as soon as he leaves, someone hits him from behind and knocks him unconscious. When he regains consciousness, his hand is tied to a pipe, and Patrice approaches him and asks him what he is looking for here. Brian introduces himself as the father of the last girl. He asks him to give her to him and is willing to pay for it. Still, Patrice explains that this is a business. According to the rules, he cannot do such a thing, so he asks his men to kill him quietly and goes out. Brian manages to break the pipe before he is killed, then kills all the guards one by one. He sees Patrice outside the room, and by shooting him in the shoulder and leg, Patrice is forced to reveal Kim's location and says that he is on a ship in port. Brian kills him and then tries to get himself into the ship. He runs, and after he reaches the bridge, he lands on the ship with a high jump and immediately kills the first guard. By penetrating the ship, he removes several other guards one by one from his way, and Ali reports this to his boss after hearing the sound of gunfire. After killing all the guards, Ali directly engages with Brian, and after a tough fight, Brian horribly kills him. He picks up the gun from the ground, opens the door in front of him, and sees that the Arab businessman has taken his daughter hostage. He immediately kills him with a precise shot and frees his daughter. Kim goes to his father's arms, crying because his father came to save him, and they hug each other. Brian and Kim return to Los Angeles, and at the airport, Kim hugs her mother. Then Lenore thanks Brian and hugs him, and Kim returns home safely. Sometime later, and at the movie's end, Brian takes Kim as a surprise to her favorite singer, Shira, to evaluate her. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.